Welcome to Social Sessions. I'm joined today with an amazing guest. From hanging around the streets in Glasgow to playing for Scotland, he's had challenges off the field with mental health and addiction and has been involved with helping people ever since his football career ended. Scotland football legend Andy McLaren. Hello Andy, how you doing?
Thanks, Sean. Aye, brilliant, mate. Brilliant. Thanks for having me. Aye, life's good, mate. So
Life's good.
Looking forward to it. Aye.
So I'm just going to take you right back, away back to the kind of start when you grew up, obviously for Castlemilk.
Yep.
So how was that growing up in the schemes and that?
Listen, it was wild looking back now, but at the time it was normal. You know what I mean? You've seen a lot of things and part of a lot of things, a lot of violence but football was always. It was my first love. I always say that. I don't say that in front of my missus right now. But no, it was, as I said, there wasn't much to do in Castlemilk. Gang fighter. I play football. And as soon as I was, 5 or 6, I had a ball at my feet. You know?
Right.
And for that age, everybody around about us wanted to be a football player. Right. But I always knew for a young age that I was all right at it, you know what I mean? And so that probably kept me out of a lot of trouble.
Right.
Because I'd be training a lot and things like that. But like I say, I seen a lot of things that at the time I thought were normal, and then the older you get, and you look back and reflect in your life, and you see how stuff like that affects you. You know what I mean?
It definitely affects. I mean, you obviously. I was in prison for a long time, and it's just the prisons are just full of people for the schemes. Yeah. Very rarely. Do you see? I mean, I don't actually know MD for like Bearsden, Mulgai. I didn't meet MD for that kind of area. So, how did football kind of save you? How did it kind of?
Well, it gave me the discipline. And like maybe Friday nights, I used to train a Friday night. You know, so boys would maybe about doing whatever they were doing. Listen, early 80s, all through the 80s, gang fighting was a big thing in Castlemilk. You know, so. And it was a summer thing. It was, see, to be honest, it was something to do. You know, we'd be back the top of the hall and you fight with a gang down the bottom of the hall, and you go to school with most of the boys. And see the next day, you'd be laughing about it and stuff like that. Or I hurt you with a brick last night and things like that. It wasn't like, listen, the younger ones would go first, and then the older ones would come up maybe 9, 10 o'clock, and that's when swords and all that came out and stuff like that, and then that's when we went home. But
so what age are you talking about, Andy?
This is 8, 9, 10-year-old. You know what I mean? And like I say, it was during the summer. There wasn't a lot to do. As I say, Maggie Thatcher came in and basically kicked the arse out everywhere, you know what I mean? So there was no youth clubs. There was a youth club when we got older, but there was nothing to do, you know, so you played football during the day, and then maybe later on at night, a wee gangies would meet at the top of the hall, and then, as I said, you'd be chasing each other up and down the halls and flinging stains and bricks and bolts at each other, and then, and as I said, later on that night, maybe at 9 o'clock, the older boys would be away drinking wine and whatever, and then they'd come up and then it was lively, you know what I mean? And that's when I used to get home, but no, you were aware of it. You growing up in a scheme as well, there's certain streets you couldn't get into. You know
so was it obviously like serious violence and stuff of it? Because obviously we're taught, when we go back and we speak about the gangs and all that, I can kind of see it starting to creep back in.
Aye.
I'm starting to see it with the youth today. I don't know if it's...
about it, Sean, haven't we? Poverty's on the rise again, you know what I mean? Cost of living, everybody's struggling, you know, and that's what happens. Kids see they think there's no hope out there, there's no, you know, you're watching the news and everything's doom and gloom in it, you know what I mean? People are struggling to put food on the table, people are struggling to heat their house.
I know for a wee while you were able to there was a lot of gaming, boys want to get on a computer, they was able to pay for it. A lot of families are not being able to afford that now.
No, listen, even online, you know, like Wi-Fi, you know what I mean? Wi-Fi's maybe 20, 30 quid a week, you know, that a month, that's probably one of the first things that's going to go. See, if you're struggling to feed your brains, you're not paying 30 quid for Wi-Fi, are you? You know, so
definitely.
Kids are then having to go out and they're getting bored. And listen, there's a number of reasons for it, but listen, one of the reasons for me, and before that, a lot of kids were going to the gym and stuff as well. You know, they were on to looking good and going to the gym and all that. But as I say, I see it creeping back in. I know what you're saying. You know, the violence. Listen,
the violence is definitely getting way out of hand. I mean, Castlemilk's a key place to know.
Yeah.
Where the East End's getting bad again, the North End.
Yeah.
The kind of drugs that are coming out now, it's like kind of fast, like these new drugs that nobody's ever took. So you're definitely starting to see it. But if I can take you back to, when did you kind of come out of that? When did you kind of go, right, this isn't for me, I need to kind of buckle down?
The football was kind of taking out. Listen, I signed S form with Dundee United when I was 13 or something. So school holidays and that, I used to go up to Dundee. And I'd meet other boys, and you're meeting other boys that are in the face games, and you're seeing a different way of life. You know what I mean?
Was there a class thing?
Well, at the time, no, it wasn't a class thing. It was just boys from different areas who couldn't understand the stuff that I was talking about. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking, because I thought everybody, see when you grow up in a scheme, you just think that's the way everybody lives. I'd nothing to judge it against. But here, the football was introducing me to that, you know, it was taking me to, I got picked for Scotland when I was like 14, 15, and one of the first times I ever went away with Scotland, we went through to Edinburgh, we were staying in a hotel in Edinburgh, and we went into the restaurant, and I'd never been in a restaurant. I was maybe 14, 15, I'd never...
That was the first time you'd actually been in that?
Aye, I'd never... No. We didn't have much growing up, you know what I mean? And I remember looking at the menu and I didn't know what anything was on it. You know what I mean? Like, I was used to pie chips and beans or stuff like that, you know what I mean? And it was like steak and the boy next to me ordered a steak and I just ordered the same as him. And then the waiter came up and says, "How do you like that cooked?" I didn't know what that meant either. I remember sitting going, just anyway. Just same way he's getting it, you know? So, and that was when I realised... I'm poor. I'm, you know, I've no had this. See, other boys were comfortable in that environment, and I wasn't. I was always loud and brash and like the loudest guys, you know. So I would wing it, you know what I mean. But I remember thinking and getting a wee bit. I don't know if embarrassed is the right word, but just a wee bit. I was at my depth a wee bit.
I know. When I played with Falkirk, I remember I went to train. It was just a training session with Hibs, and it was like Alan Brazil's boy. A few other boys that played, and I remember hating it. I remember my dad pulling up in an old Volvo, and I mean, my family. I wasn't poor by any means.
No, we weren't poor, but we weren't.
No,
we weren't rich. If you know what I mean. It's
I mean, you look at the difference in the people. So these boys were all pulling up Mercs and BMWs, and I just remember no feeling as comfortable with Hibs. Do you know what I mean? And I liked it at Falkirk, so I stayed at Falkirk, but. So obviously, like you've got this talent, right? You've realised that. So how does Dundee United? How did they help? Because obviously I know there was a wee kind of, is it a wee under the table kind of thing?
I signed when I was maybe 12. You know, in S form. There was loads of clubs in for me around about that age. I played with Rangers when I was a young boy. My dad was a mad Rangers fan. My ma's half Irish Catholics, so she must have won the argument because I went to a Catholic school and then. I went and played with Rangers Boys Club and they were wanting to sign me in 1986. Soonest had just come in. I went in and met Soonest in the Blue Room. And my dad was buzzing. You know, my dad's massive Rangers fan and he's desperate for me to sign. But I went to school in Castlemilk. I went to St Margaret Mary's and back then they had a signing policy. They were going to change it. Soonest told me that. He said to me, I says, "Listen, I go to a certain school." And they're like, no, that's not a problem. But for me, it was going to be a problem.
No, I know.
You know, I just wanted to I wanted to go and play football. I knew if I signed with Rangers, there's a lot more stuff's going to, you know, like...
You look at the thing with it, obviously, the new, like, with Morelos and stuff like that, like, and even, like, doing the hand across and all that, do you know what I mean? It's like...
It shouldn't matter, you know, but back then, that was 1980s, it was a massive thing, you know, so as I say, I just wanted to play football, so and Dundee United always had a great youth policy where, you knew, if you went up there and done well, you get your chance, you know what I mean, and that's that's what I dreamed about doing. You know, as a wee boy, I used to play football every day. There was a pitch right across from me, and every day you're out there, me and my brother or my mates, and you just played football every day. As I say, you always had a ball. We always had a ball. I was talking to people a couple of years ago, and they were saying about to be an elite athlete, you need to have like done 10,000 hours, you know, and I counted that up. I probably done that when I was about 14.
Easy.
You know, because as I say, we went to school, you played football, you played at dinner time, you played at playtime, and then I would train at night, and then I'd play on a Saturday morning, I'd play on a Saturday afternoon, I'd play on a Sunday, you know what I mean? So that was...
So that's what saved you, it is really just the love for your football?
Well,
what happened? Was there any pals or anything, Andy, like any pals that you lost? Like,
listen, I could, there's, out the boys you about with us, there's probably 6, 7, 8, 9 of them not here today, you know, there was a big gang is, and listen, no, everybody went that way, you know, there's other boys that I've got a mate who's an architect who done well, you know what I mean, so it wasn't all doom and gloom. There's other boys that work in the rigs and all that, you know what I mean, but there was other ones who, we all drank the same, you know, we see at that age, we all drank the same, we all...
15, 16, you're all the same, aren't you? And it kind of changes into...
The other thing that changed in Castlemilk, which for me was a big part of stopping the gang fighting as well, was ecstasy exploded.
Aye. Yeah, kind of early 90s, isn't it?
Late 80s.
Aye.
89, 90, you know, so...
Steady fighting, everybody's coming.
Well, I remember going to a rave and it was fucking guys, older guys who were fucking dangerous boys, you know what I mean? And they're all cuddling you and dancing, you know. I remember I'm like, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? It was totally different. You feel these guys you'd seen fucking stick knives in people, you know what I mean? And the next minute they're cuddling you, you're brilliant, I love you, wee man. And it just, and they were all making money off it as well. So it suited them to, it didn't suit them to be fucking fighting with each other now, you know what I mean? Because they were all getting a turn, they were all like organising raves and getting all the ease in and then, so there was money involved then, you know what I mean? So I think that it certainly curtailed it for a good while, you know, because people were, and listen, the rave scene was...
It was huge, wasn't it? For like that, for that fall, I mean, I just missed it. Like, but my big cousin and that, my cousin Brian and that used to tell us about going down to the Hang On or that, going down to the Metro and that.
We used to have a couple of boys I knew that they were organising illegal ones, you know what I mean, and they were making good money at it, you know what I mean, and but
it seems to start becoming. It seems that I know that's creeping back, and I know the kind of illegal raves I've seen.
I know the young ones are into that. I've dropped a few boys off at them and the taxi and stuff, and that's listen. You get 300 people in some warehouse and charge them 20 quid a head, and then you're selling them whatever they're taking as well. There's big money to be made in it, you know what I mean, if you do it right, you know. But back then, see, for me, it had a right positive impact on people at the time, you know what I mean. Obviously, more money came into it, and that's when it started getting lively again, and shootings and stabbings and all that kind of stuff.
It's the more money that comes in, the more dangerous it becomes. But I think that's when you obviously, when you're talking about your pals, I've went somewhere, and I've got the same. I've got pals that I've kind of, they're just addicts now. Do you know what I mean? Alcoholic stuff like that, and it's good. They're still cracking boys, but it's obviously just a thing that in these schemes and in Scotland, it seems to be like a culture we've got, like a drugs culture. And I don't think a lot of the boys obviously understand where it leads to later on in life for the mental health and that, Andy.
But back then, mental health, no, that wasn't mentioned.
No, it wasn't a thing.
There was nothing, you know what I mean? Like, listen, if you were ever struggling, there's no danger you're going to say to your pals. No, back then. There's just, that wasn't, because the advice you get is shut up and take another drink, or here, take a line, or take a, you know, because nobody knew how to cope with it. No. Because we were all kidding on that our life was great, you know what I mean? Like, we were all seeing the same things, and some people impacted it more than others. You know, some people could live in that world and thrived in it, whereas other people, that wasn't for them, you know what I mean? I
think looking back, if I take myself back to it, I mean, there was definitely a lot of fear. There's fear there.
Fear's always there. Listen, I spoke to some of the hardest guys, and they used to say that I didn't think I was scared of anything, but I was scared of everything. You know what I mean? Like, fear drove him, you know what I mean? It was like, they had to be the hard man, and you know, and
it's a driving force for them, like that fear, but they don't see it as fear. They see it as like a. I don't know. I've tried to explain this to people before, and I've actually tried to explain it to people. Like they'll go like I'm not scared of anything. That comment itself is meaning that
aye.
You just don't realise it. Do you know what I mean?
I spoke to him when he'd been in it, and he was a fucking hard bat. He'd done loads of time, and that's what he said. He says, I would have told you I wasn't scared of anything. He says, and I wasn't. He says, but I was. If you know, it's a kind of,
it's a paradox.
It's a paradox. You know, because you'd fight anybody. You'd fight King Kong, but your life's ruled with fear. You know what I mean? What he thinks of me, or he thinks I'm a fucking prick, and you know what I mean. And you do other people's thinking as well, don't you? You know, it's. But that's what happens when you grow up in the schemes. It's you've got all these different emotions and different.
I think when you've got guys like Jacob Rees-Mogg and all that trying to tell you how to live life and what's real and what's this, it's like
they've not got a clue, have they? Let's be honest, they've never. Listen, you could drop me or you into their world and we would thrive.
I know.
You drop them into Castlemilk or whatever. They've been the last 2 minutes. That's the truth of the matter.
No,
I mean, listen, I've been in company of people for down there and speak like Prince Charles and I can hold a conversation and whatever, but they couldn't come up to Castlemilk. They've been the last. Can you imagine taking one of them to a party in Castlemilk? Easter House or Springburn, you know? They'd have him fucking hung out the window of his ankles in 2 minutes, you know what I mean? But these people are trying to tell us how to run their lives and they've not got a clue, you know?
I don't know. I don't know how the whole thing is just, it's obviously like this whole podcast is to try and kind of raise awareness about the whole thing for schemes and how to change it and how do we change that attitude. Scotland's no got the best kind of attitude toward in the schemes. It's all kind of, I don't know.
Listen, they're looked down on. Let's be honest. Schemes are looked down on. They talk about, we get slagged for our accents. You know, see the world I live in, everybody talks like me.
Aye.
You know, they don't talk like Jacob Rees-Mogg or whatever, you know. Aye. So people think, oh, they're a wee Ned because you say aye and no and whatever. That's the way I spoke. That's the way my ma spoke. That's the way my granny, you know. So I've never been embarrassed of the way I speak, but some people do, you know, and people try to change their accent or whatever, you know. And listen, I've never been embarrassed.
No.
And listen, because you do a bit of media.
It's commendable, but it's like, it's being yourself, Andy. It's not.
Well, I've always
authentic.
Said, listen, my wee granny used to always a great saying, never forget your old arse. I remember her saying that to me when I first got into the first team at Dundee United.
Aye.
And it's something that, I don't know why it stuck in my head, but, and I probably, see, to be honest, I probably should have changed a bit.
Aye.
You know what I mean?
Aye.
But I did want to just be, no, I'm a boy for a scheme. This is fucking who I'm all. When probably I should have changed a wee bit and mellowed a bit, and I have done that with age, and I think that just comes with getting old. You know,
Aye.
like if you're doing media or whatever, you do need to kind of soften your accent a wee bit, and things like that. But at the start, I'm like, no, I'm fucking changing for nobody. We all need to change a bit. Let's be honest.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Listen, we can't.
I think we've got a mask for we've got masks for different people.
Yeah.
And even taking it back to your granny's wee statement when you did first sign for the first team. What did that feel like? What was, see, obviously when you go and you get it signed. What's that like, Andy? Like, obviously
it's amazing because that's what you've dreamed about for you when a wee boy.
Age-wise,
I went full time with Dundee United when I was 16. So I left school just before that. The World Cup came to Scotland.
Aye.
So we're under 16, and I get picked for that, and that was massive. Right, I'm 15-year-old. You're on the telly. You're meeting Pelé.
Aye.
And people recognising you now.
Aye.
You know, and that was another big. That was something that nobody ever taught me about. I'm not saying I'm fucking like David, but people recognising you.
Aye.
You know, and that was hard. You know, because I just went for a wee guy for Castlemilk to the next minute. You're walking through the town, there's people coming up and talking to you about football. And I remember my wife still goes on about it. Like, we'll be out and somebody will just come up and we'll have a 10-minute conversation. She'll walk away and she'll go, who's that? And I'll go, I don't know. And she'll be like, how? And I'm like, that's what happens, you know what I mean? Like, when she first moved up with Dundee, we were both 20, 21, and she's walking through Dundee, so I play for Dundee United, so everybody knows you, you know, and it's like people are having full-scale conversations, and she was fucking freaked out with it, you know. She's like, what, do people just come up with you up here and talk to you? And I'm like, aye, but I'd had a couple of years of getting used to it, you know, but the World Cup thing was a big thing for that, you know, because, as I say, I'd stayed 5 minutes for Hampden. The final ended up at Hampden. It was 50,000 there. I've took a penalty, scored. You know, was it 15-year-old just scored in a World Cup final.
Madness.
And after that, I left Hampden and went and get a bus back up to Castlemilk. We didn't ever, there's nobody to drive me, you know. There's not many people playing a World Cup final, walk around and get a bus. But even then, I was drinking. You know, I was, after that game, we all went to a party and we were drinking. I started drinking when I was 11, 12.
Aye.
Smoking hash and all the things you do in schemes, you know what I mean? Boys I went about who were maybe a couple of years older than me. And listen, everybody I knew drank. You know what I mean? It wasn't.
So see when you're drinking and all that, and you're obviously you're now kind of established in the Dundee United team, starting to get noticed, people running about you, there's teams looking about you. Did it all for them and that look into, like, do they know you're drinking and stuff like that? Do they know?
I would think so, but the first time I signed with Dundee United, I signed my first professional contract. Sorry. Out at the old Love Street, and I went in to sign, and Jim McLaren was the manager at the time, and he told me how many times I'd been off school, and he told me that it's, you know, your behaviour and this and that, and I'm like, fucking hell, and he says, I'm expecting trouble off you. Fucking, I didn't disappoint him. But no, they did that. They did. Listen, they did their homework on you, didn't they? You know what I mean? But see, to be honest, I thought I was invisible. I didn't.
But you were a good player, so when you've got that ability, and people are stuck, because a lot of people lose it, and a lot of people obviously they have a wee bit of ability, but they go look because of the drink that they lose it. I've
seen a million boys like that just as good as me, but it's not just about your ability. It's about going to train on Monday morning. It's about going to train on a Tuesday night when, you know, your pals are going to a party or a Friday night, you know. So although I was out drinking and doing what I was doing, I was still disciplined in that. I always made my work. You know, I would say that to everybody. See if you make your work, do what you want at the weekend. See as long as you make your work on Monday. And that was a golden rule for me. So I always, listen, some days I wasn't the best of states to be going to training, but I made it, you know what I mean? I was always there. Whereas that was the difference with other boys, you know what I mean? I can't be fucked, I'm going to...
Was it quite prevalent in, like, obviously football? Because obviously we are no privy to it, but is it quite prevalent, like a lot of the football players drinking and stuff like that?
Back then it was, listen, you could get in on a Monday and who's want to go for a beer after training, maybe before 4 or 5 years. You know, listen, it's not like that now. You know, and see, to be fair, when you were going for a drink on a Monday afternoon, you were going out for 4 or 5 pints, but 4 or 5 pints then turned into 10 or 11, pints. And then it was, you were in a nightclub at 2 in the morning, you know what I mean? But even then, I knew when I went to get drunk, I was going to get drunk. You know, I never ever, for a young age, I never drank to be sociable. It wasn't. For me, it was never. So
when obviously we'll go into the big scandal later, but when did cocaine first come into your life? When did that?
Probably about 17, 18, I think.
As young as that, in the eye.
Well, like just noon again, you know, like I was at a party one night and somebody had it and took it. Ecstasy was for probably about 16 to 18, 19. I was going out. I would come home for a game on a Saturday and all my mates are going to a rave on a Saturday night. I should have stayed at home. I should have stayed in the house. That's the truth for the matter. But all your mates are going out.
No, you don't do
know
that.
What I mean, and by the way, some of my mates will be like, what are you doing?
Because they're looking at your talent and going, look, because obviously
you've got a chance, you know. I remember, but I remember saying to one of my mates, "I wish I had your life." My mate was like, "Are you fucking kidding me on?" He's like, "Listen, he done it, whatever he done, and fucking went to the pub and all that." He's like, he says, "I'm fucking waiting my door getting in every night."
That's mad. You don't think about it like that. No, like, see what you said that there. Like, I wish you had your life because he's obviously not got the pressure you've got to. It's just mad. It's mad thinking about that.
It's always that, you know, because I'm looking at his life thinking, he doesn't need to go away. Because I was having to go away all week. You know what I mean? I was away from my family. That was a big thing as well. 16, being away from him. You know, people don't people don't realise how that impacts on you.
That's huge, man.
You know what I mean? I remember, by the way, I'd literally just turned 16. I used to have to get the bus from Castlemilk on a Monday morning into the town, get the train up to Dundee. You wouldn't ask your 16-year-old to do that now, you'd be like, I was doing that at 12, 13, you know what I mean?
Young players are mollycoddled these days, aren't
they
they?
get picked, but listen, there was nobody in my family drove, so if I had to go somewhere, we used to train at Helen Vale in Parkhead on a Friday night. I used to have to get 2 buses there.
Aye.
And Parkhead was a bit fucking lively, but all my family were for there. So I knew everybody. But some of the boys that maybe had to go and get buses, they used to hear horror stories of them getting chased along London Road and all that with boys, you know what I mean? Because that's the way it was back then. If you wandered into somebody else's scheme and you were a different face, that was... And it's a bit
still like that. I mean, it's not... It went away for a wee while.
Yeah.
It did go away for a while. When I was in Pullman, I used to see boys, right, and like, it's just like maybe, and a lot of them are dead now, like maybe 10 boys for Postal, and they would be like, maybe 8 of them in the jail, and then one of them would come in and you would go like, but how'd you just go out last week? And he's like, I know, all my pals are in here. And I'm like,
but that's what
that was just so abnormal to me. I was like, what the fuck you want to come in here for? Like, why would you want to be in this place? But I get it. I get that's at home. It's that bad at home that they would rather be.
And there were pals having a laugh and whatever. As I say, I've spoke to boys as well, and I'm like, it doesn't bother me being in there.
Aye.
And they're not saying it for bravado or you can fucking tell. They're like, listen, I'm sorry, in there.
I know.
And to accept being dubbed up 23 hours a day, but as I say, it shows you how shite a life is out here.
It's very sad.
It's no nice, but as I say, some people, it suits them being in there. You know, they've got a routine. You know, out here they're
some people do better in prison, which is crazy. But I mean, the prison system in some state now. I realise it's bad, and it's all these different drugs, these new drugs, spice and all that. And obviously, it's ruining that. Even that kind of good side where boys could have went in and had a bit of routine. That's just gone now. The violence is really bad. There's a lot of stuff going on. But obviously we're going back, so the cocaine scandal, right? Obviously the big thing. How does that come about, Andy? Because that was like, I remember that was massive. They kind of overplayed it.
Look back now, it was ridiculous. You know, I'd been at Dundee United for 9-10 years. I'd won the Scottish Cup, but there was all these moves that they hadn't fell through. People had probably had a look at my background and seen that it was. Celtic tried to sign me. Tommy Burns had tried to sign me. Those teams in
remember all that.
But as I say, it was Dundee's fault, it was Glasgow's fault, it was the manager's fault, it was everybody else's fault bar mine.
Aye.
You know, listen, we're brilliant at blaming everybody else, you know what I mean? But I look back now and I was the main problem, you know what I mean? But at the time I would never have admitted that, you know what I mean? So I thought going to Reading would be. I remember being on the flight going down there and I'm talking to myself, I'm saying, right, go down here and get half a gear and stop drinking and get your career back on track. And that, see, to be honest, that was what I was going to do there today. Aye. But I was trying to run away, but I was trying to run away from me. I was a problem, you know what I mean? And until I addressed me, you know, and I was still miles away from being at that place, you know what I mean, where I was going to be honest with myself. And so I went down there, and before I knew it, I was fucking into London, getting gear there. I was on the training run, and I seen 2-3 guys coming on. I said to one of the boys, who's that? I said drug testers. I'm like, oh, fuck. And everything goes through your head. I'm like, just collapse. I'm like, just collapse here, kid, on you've had a heart attack or something. And then I'm like, no, just... my dad was 10 year dead at that point. See, my first year up in Dundee, I'd moved away from him. My dad died a couple of months after that, and my son was born. You know, so that was three huge things that hurt me in the space of months. And see, back then, I still went and spoke to somebody, but anybody asked me, I'm all right, I'm fine, you know. And I remember once being in the digs, and 2 of the boys I shared digs with, I remember just busting into tears one night. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Do you think, obviously, in your book, you spoke about kind of that being abused and stuff like that. Obviously, that would have been a huge part to play, and probably no seeing that, and they seeing the trauma that was
It was older you get, the more things like that started playing with you. You know what I mean? Started having your own wains and stuff like that. And but football was like a wee cocoon, Sean. You know, so you're not, it's not a real world.
No.
I'm going to be honest, you know what I mean? You get into training, there's 20, 25 boys, you're having a laugh, it's all your pals, you've got a few quid, you know, you've got a nice house, I remember being 21 and getting home one night and I had a nice big house, I had a 4-bedroom house, I've got my wife, son, nice motor, couple of quid, and I remember just bursting into tears. Because I thought, see if you get on that, I thought as a kid that makes you happy. Because we're programmed to that.
No, that's a condition.
We're programmed to, if you're successful, you know, if you're a professional football player, you've no cares in the world. And that was another thing that stopped me probably coming out earlier on. I remember Stan Collymore coming out and saying he had mental health problems, and his manager fucking ridiculed him.
I know, I remember it.
John Gregory saying, how can he have mental health problems? A woman that's staying a block of flats with 3 wings, she can have depression, but he can't. And I'm thinking, but that was the attitude back then. That was because football players were seen as invincible and indestructible. And if you go to moan it, you know, and it's like that conversation I had with one of my mates, and him looking at me, he's like, "You fucking crazy," you know what I mean?
No, it's a paradox. It's something that you don't realise.
Something you dream of achieving, and then once you get there, it's no. Listen, it was brilliant and I loved every minute of it, but you think that's going to make you whole and fulfill you, and still life goes on, you know what I mean? You've still got life going on in the background. My wee man's struggling to bring up 3 other wains back in Castlemilk. You're worried about that, you're worried about, you know, you still worry about things, you know what I mean? It's just, it doesn't...
Well, it doesn't go away just because you're successful. I mean, the amount of... There was a guy called Rob Dial. When I first got out of jail, there was a guy called Rob Dial, and he was like a kind of personal development, kind of Tony Robbins guy. But he used to come out and he used to talk sense and like talk about how just really, really good quotes and stuff like that, good advice. And I says to my partner, Fiona, I says, I like this guy. I started following him. And I swear to God, that was like 3 years ago. So now he's kind of working with Tony Robbins and stuff like that. But he said that he can charge people up to like £200,000 a session. So who is it that's it's only the most successful people in the world that's paying for that? Do you know what I mean? And
that shows you, but because see if you've not got any money, you look at these people, these billionaires, and think, oh, they've got life sorted. They've just got different problems.
Definitely.
You know, like there's nobody that gets through life. People die, people get sick, you know, life still happens. It doesn't matter who you are or how much money you've got, you're still going to shite in your life. You know, people chase...
It's peace and contentment, isn't it?
They're chasing something that they're never going to achieve. You know, like I spoke to you before I came in here, and I said probably mentally and just this is probably the best I've felt. You know what I mean? Like if things happen, I can deal with them. You know, I'm the reliable one in the family now. You know, see if something happens, they're on the phone to me, Andrew. You know, and 20 years ago I was the last fucking person.
That's an amazing feeling. Obviously,
I can go to my bed at night. My wife was away 3 weeks ago. She was away at a conference for 3 days. And she 20 years ago, I hated that. I hated being myself. I hated being in my own head. She knew I love it. You know, and that's, see for me, that alone.
Is there anything you do, like do you meditate or anything?
No, well, I do, but don't, like, you know, see, because I'm out in a taxi all day. I'm just doing all, just talking to myself and
positively.
Just everything's all. You know, people might say, "Oh, can't believe you're right." I love it. You know what I mean? I meet some interesting people. I've got that routine. I'm up at a certain time. I'm out at I need routine in my life. You know, see if I've got that routine, and life's just. Listen, I'm not saying I've got it cracked, but the last wee while, it's just been good. You know, listen, there's still shit happening in my life, but I can
deal with it these days.
You know, I can because I know that everybody gets shit. You know, whereas I used to go, why me? Whereas I remember years ago as well, see when things were going too well for me, Sean,
Aye.
I used to, it was self-sabotage. I wouldn't have, I didn't know it at the time, but see, looking back, like, see when I was fucking absolutely flying at the football, maybe big money moves and all that getting spoke about, I would get in a mad fucking bender. I couldn't handle things being too good, because I used to think, I probably don't deserve that. You know, and now things are good. I'm like, brilliant. I did deserve it. You know what I mean?
I think that's going back. Obviously, like the trauma.
Yeah.
Growing up in the streets, just obviously the abuse. There's loads of stuff that's kind of brought you to where you are. So how do you even get? How do you get a Scotland cap and stuff like that when you're like, Andy? Actually, it's
that was amazing. Like, it was a year after I came out of rehab. I failed the drug test, and we spoke like for about a week. It was like, it was the first item on the 6 o'clock news. You know what I mean?
I remember it.
It was the front page of every newspaper, and I was in my wife's ma's and just hiding in a room, and it was other people I felt it for. It was my boy going to school. You know what I mean? Imagine going to school and you're you know what? My wee granny, Claire's wee granny, who were good people, you know, and they're reading about their grandson who they were probably proud of and told everybody about, and then the next minute I'm all the papers, fucking drug addict and alcoholic, and I look back and, by the way, they hung me out to dry. I'm going to be honest. I used to say
that were nasty and all.
I used to say that the PFA and that were good with me, but I look back now and they weren't, because I've spoke to boys who failed drug testing there and it got covered up. But I was an easy one to get out, you know what I mean? Like,
look at Rio Ferdinand, like,
listen,
there's loads of them.
I could name you a million of them, you know what I mean? Boys that, and what they done was they would say they're injured and just fucking fuck them off to rehab for a month, you know what I mean? Whereas mine was, I went to a hearing in Leeds and they said to me, you've got 10 minutes. I'd went down myself. I didn't want, nobody knew. I knew the minute I pissed in that bottle, the results of what was coming back. But I'd get back up the road. Alan Pardew was a manager. I'd went in and said to him, listen, can I get a pie off? I can't settle down here. Got up the road. And for about 6 weeks, the letter gets sent and I put it in top of my fridge and I used to hide. See, when I was walking by the fridge, I used to hide for this letter. It's fucking insane.
No, that makes sense.
It's like, and then I opened it and I failed the drug test for cocaine and cannabis. And I had to go to a hearing in Leeds, and I went down to that hearing, and by that point I'm drinking every day, because I've not got a club now. I've got a few quid in the bank, I'm drinking and I'm using every day. And I'm going to bed at night hoping I don't wake up if I go to bed, you know what I mean? I've got a beautiful wife, I've got 2 beautiful sons, you know, people looking at me think, but I was all over the place by that point. Is
addiction got a hold of you at that time?
Addiction's got a hold of me, all these fucking mad thoughts, just everything, you know, as I say, I couldn't look in the mirror. I used to shave and you know, I hated looking at myself in the mirror, because I could kid everybody else on, but I couldn't kid me on, you know what I mean? And just when I got into recovery, somebody gave me that, and I had it in my mirror for years. It was a poem called The Man in the Mirror, and I put it on the fridge, and that's something I did that I can look at myself in the mirror and I like myself today, you know. And back then I didn't. Back then I hated what I'd become. I hated what I was doing to people that loved me. But I wasn't well. That's the truth of the matter, you know what I mean? And I went into rehab. I was in there for a month. First 2 weeks I hated it. Thought everybody was talking about me. Probably were, because I was in every newspaper, you know what I mean? And then first 2 weeks I hated it. Second 2 weeks, I was like, right, I'm going to give this a go.
Aye.
You know what I mean? See, I remember the first day getting in there, there was no danger. I was stopping to drink. I was going.
Did you have it in your head? Just going, this is just.
I've just got to do this. I've got to do this. And then, as I say, I was in there for a month, came out, and felt a bit better. And like, right, I'm going to give this a go. I'll try my best. People get round about me. Started going to AA, and a couple of people get round about me, and they were fucking amazing. You know what I mean? Just, it was a boy for Castlemilk that I'd know. He was an older guy, but he was fucking bonkers. But the greatest guy ever, but mental. But I loved him, you know what I mean? He died a few years ago, but he was brilliant. He just used to call me an arsehole and fucking. But I remember we were going to a meeting one night, and and he's turned around at me and he says, "You'll play for Scotland." And I'm like, I says, "I've not got a fucking club." I says, he's like, "I'm fucking telling you." He says, "You'll play for Scotland." He says, "You do what fucking you're doing now." He says, "I guarantee you'll play for Scotland." So he had more faith in me than I had myself. And a year later, we were sitting in my house in East Kilbride, and he was sitting with me, and Craig Brown phoned me.
Mental.
It was fucking, and I told him, I thought it was one of the boys winding me up. And I went, "Fuck off." He says, "It's Craig Brown." And I went, "Fuck off," because the boys do that. We all phone each other and kid on with reporters and all that, and fucking get boys to talk shite and then start laughing. So I thought it was, and he's phoned me back. He's went, "No, Andy, it's Craig Brown." And it's like Jimmy was there, and see just that moment, you know what I mean? Like a year prior to that, I'm in the Priory, you know what I mean? And there I'm getting called up, and it was in Poland, and I remember. Listen, I can fucking shut my eyes now and I'm back there, but listen to the national anthem. Aye. You know what I mean? And Christian Daly, who I'd known for we'd been 12, you know, would come through, and I remember him looking at me, and he knew fucking obviously what I'd been through, you know what I mean? And that was, wow, that was pure, that was emotional. You know, listening to Flower of Scotland and thinking, fuck me, last year I wanted to die. You know what I mean? Last year I didn't give a fuck whether I was here or no, you know what I mean? And
knew you're representing your country.
Yeah.
What do you think he obviously, like, of Craig Brown, obviously a huge figure in Scottish football, how that's huge faith he's had into, like, obviously to take that.
Listen, I've known, see the thing is, I've known Craig Brown for I was 12-year-old. My mum, see when he died a couple of weeks ago, my mum phoned me, my mum still got a letter he sent to my house when I was 12. He wrote a big letter saying, "Your son, if it reports your son's a very good player," and this and that. And I used to get, Shawfield was 10 minutes for Castlemilk, so I used to go down there on a Tuesday night, Thursday night, and just help about the place, and they used to give me 2-3 quid or something, and I would get in and clean the boots and stuff, and then obviously I signed with Dundee United, so I stopped getting in there, and then I went down for trials with Scotland, under 15s, and he was there. He was a manager, so he's kind of looking at me, and then he went, "Come here," and he's like, "I know you didn't." I says, "I used to come into Clyde and that," so that'd been 3 years, and then he capped me at every level, you know what I mean? So he capped me under 15, played in the World Cup under him. He was a manager. Because always, and then once I came out of rehab and was at Kilmarnock, they invited me down once to talk to the young boys, like an under 15 group or something, and he showed you. Because he went up and spoke, he says, "He scored in a World Cup final, 50-odd thousand." And I scored and I've turned around and went at me way back, walked back, as if a big cigar. And it was, listen, because he's a kid, that's what I dreamed about then.
No, it's everybody's dreaming
to go to play at Hampden and score. Listen, you dream about scoring the World Cup final, but you actually do it, you know what I mean? And then to win a Scottish Cup at Hampden, at 20-year-old. You know, it's, listen, see if my career had stopped 10, I'd have done it. I've completed it, you know what I mean? And I look back at my career and listen, I could have done better, but as one of the boys said to me, he says, "Andy," he says, "fucking people say you underachieved." He says, "You overachieved." He says, "For what you've been through." You know what I mean? He says, "I wouldn't say you underachieved." He says, "The fact that you..."
It'd have been easy to pack it in anyway, because the supporters not that were nasty, weren't they?
Well, once I get back, that was hard. Yeah, I mean, I had to stop my veins and all that going to watch me, you know what I mean? Because every week you'd get it, and see, to be honest, Sean, some weeks it'd be a laugh and a joke. You know, you're in a good place and you're getting a wee bit back, and but other times you're having a shit day, you know what I mean? And then you bite back, and then it affects your performance. And I mean, I remember playing at Motherwell one day and running up the line and getting scalped for a fucking Mars bar. And I was trying to get into the crowd. McInnes ran over and grabbed me. He's like, "What the fuck you doing?" I had a big lump in my head. And they were giving me pelters. And listen, I'm just a normal guy, you know what I mean? You've got the same emotions and whatever. And you react to things. You're actually a
cracking guy, but it's just the whole thing of that football atmosphere, and it's personal to you, but it's not even they don't even know.
See, like, going on to a football part, I turn into a different person. It's like Charlie Miller's one of my best pals, and we playing charity games down it. He's like, "You turn into the biggest dick in the world when you go on a football park." Like, it's fun to fight with people, and I'm not even like that. And listen, but once I go, I hate losing.
Aye.
It's like, but that's probably how I got to the level I got to, you know, so it's, do you want to take that away, and then it maybe takes another bit of you away, you know what I mean? So it's got to, listen, some days it doesn't affect you, and other days it does. It's just because you're a human being, you know, and some days, as I say, I'd go into the park and guys would give me pelters and it would be fuel to me.
Aye.
And I'd think, right, I'm going to, and then other times mentally you're not in a good place.
Nah, I know.
You know, you've maybe left the house, you're arguing with the missus, something's happened, you know, you know, there's a million things.
I don't think people realise it.
You're a human being.
Aye.
That's the thing with football players. People think you should be able to take that shit. You know, you should be able to. I mean, I was 10, 20,000 people giving you pelters, you know, and then you get home after that. And
no, it's horrible.
sometimes you feel shite after it, you know. I mean, other times you've played well and you're not fuck them, you know what I mean? But other times you don't. You get home and you'll mull on it, you know what I mean? And Claire she would just leave me be, you know. She could tell when, as soon as I came in the door, whether we'd won or, it's, you know, and I got better at it, you know. I'd maybe come in and I'd mull on it for 2 days, you know, but at the end I got better at it, and maybe like, give me an hour or two and then I'll be all right, you know what I mean? It's just, you just had to learn how to deal with it, you know, and that might have been picking up the phone, because once I get sober, that had people I could talk to.
Of course, aye.
Because I remember one of my first games back with Castlemilk, and we played Rangers down at Rugby Park, and I scored 2. We were 2-0 up. I scored 2. I get back to the house. We get beat 4-2, but I'd scored 2. It's a fucking big thing, you know what I mean? Scored 2 against Rangers. Came back up the road in the house. Claire and the boys on the inn. I'm like, fuck it, they should be waiting on me. You know what I mean? I'm the returning hero. But she was getting a bit of peace now, so she could go and take the boys out and do whatever, you know what I mean? And I phoned one of my old sponsors, old Chris. And by the way, I wanted to go and get drunk, that's the truth, because I knew all the boys would be sitting up at the pub and I could walk in and you just go to, you know, and it was ego. It was fucking ego, you know what I mean? I wanted to go up and I phoned somebody and I says, listen, I'm fucking want to get drunk. He says, oh, it's fucking so you should. He says, you fucking... I was only maybe 5-6 months sober, you know what I mean?
Did you ever have any blips, Andy? Did you ever?
Aye. During the close season and that, but as I say, it was... But that kind of drove me, because I remember people thinking he'll get drunk again. And that, see, to be honest, that kept me sober for a long time.
Aye.
Just want to show.
Just the determination.
Aye, to show. And that's not going to keep you sober forever. But at the start, it was like, I'm no. These cunts are all waiting on me fucking. I was always going to show people. I didn't know who it was I was showing, but it was always, I'll show them, you know what I mean? And that kind of kept me. And I did have slips when my mental health wasn't good.
Aye.
You know, because you'd be half a drink. I went half a drink, and then I still had all this shite in my head.
Aye.
And I hadn't dealt with it, you know, and I couldn't deal with it because when it came to the steps, I couldn't physically write down what had happened to me.
Aye.
And my wee Jimmy was brilliant, because he used to always say to me, listen, A, doesn't fix your telly. And I used to think, what the fuck's he talking about? But I know what he's talking about. It'll stop you drinking.
I know.
But if you've got other issues, you need professional help for that. Aye. And I ran with that for 5-6 years and kept myself sober. And but mentally, I was still out of the place. You know what I mean?
So... See, I would just see before we go into it, because obviously we're going to go into the mental health and all that, right? And that's probably kind of a big topic that I would want to cover with Andy. But who, just before we finish with the football talk, who would you say is the best player you've played with?
There was a few. Ian Durant. I love playing with Durant at Kilmarnock.
Aye.
And a big boy, Dave Neary at Dundee United. Dave Neary was one of my earliest football memories, watching Scotland versus Brazil in 1982, and he scored against Brazil.
Aye. He
scored this toe poke. Jimmy Hull says it was a toe poke. So I was 8 or 9, and it was at that age you're beginning to think, right, that's what I want to do.
Aye.
And watching that game, and 7 years later I was sharing a dressing room with him.
Madness, isn't it?
And like, I was annoying the big guy. By the way, the big guy was the nicest guy in the world. He's so, listen, he doesn't do interviews, he doesn't do, he's just big quiet guy for Dundee, could have moved anywhere, didn't want to move.
I remember him.
Could you imagine scoring a goal against Brazil in the World Cup? I'd have t-shirts and everything made it, you know what I mean? Listen, there's guys who would live off that for the rest of their career. You know what I mean? You've got Archie Gemmell's goal and Dave Nary's goal, iconic goals in Scottish football. But I got to play with big Dave Nary and Ian Durrant. Charlie Miller was Charlie's my pal, I'm going to say that, but he was incredible.
He was a cracking player,
he was incredible. But Durrant at Kilmarnock was brilliant because I just went in there. And obviously Dory shite in the paper. And Durrant kind of took me under his wing and was brilliant with me. Just used to drive me up to training and just have wee chats. And
seems a wee bit older at that time, wasn't he?
And he'd obviously had fucking been through stuff. And listen, he was a Glasgow boy and he knew the score. You know what I mean? He knew.
I've spoken to a few guys who have said that if he didn't get that injury, it would have been.
Listen, I played with him and he was fucking about that size and he was ridiculous. He just used to. We played with Ibrox one day and won 3-0 and it's as good a performance I've ever seen. You know what I mean? He looked as if he'd half an hour in the ball every time he got it. And see players that make the game look easy. It's the hardest thing in the world to do that. You know, I've had a few wee spells in my career where the game was easy. It doesn't happen it seems to be in slow motion, if you know what I mean. It's like, I've heard like Gaz and that talking about it, and I can remember times where the game was just easy. You know what I mean? You would do things and you didn't know how you'd done them, and it was just, and then other times you fucking felt as if you'd never kicked the ball before, you know what I mean? So, listen, it's like any part of life, innit? You know what I mean? Sometimes life's good, and that's what football was like, but playing with Durrant, it was brilliant, you know. He always had time and gave you the ball at the right time, and I just loved him as a person as well. He was funny, but he would slaughter you. But then he would come on, fucking, you know, it was like, you know, he knew when to do it and when not to, and what boys to do it, because there was boys in dressing rooms that couldn't take it. You know what I mean? I could take it. I was one of the loudest, and a lot of that was to take the dairy away from me. So I'd be the loudest and shout to the loudest and slag everybody, because then I'm not getting it, you know what I mean? And it was a kind of deflection tactic, if I'm being honest. Look back now, at the time it was just Andy was loud and whatever, but I wasn't.
No, it's obviously like, you're right. I obviously deflecting it's obviously going into the trauma and stuff, which is obviously took you down the road to kind of want to commit suicide and stuff. How did that happen, Andy? Like, obviously we're going into the kind of darker stuff, but obviously there's light at the end of this tunnel as well. I was about 6 or 7, 8, maybe. I don't, see, to be honest, I don't know what it, but used to go out and play, Waynes and all that, you know what I mean? And end up, listen, I look back now, and my trauma, I'd speak to a lot of boys now with trauma, and I think, fuck me, I thought I was bad, you know? Like, so I'm not grateful for what happened to me, but it's nowhere near as bad. Like, it was like touching and stuff like that. It was an older guy and things like that. And the older I go, the more it fucks you up.
The more it fucked me up, and drink and drugs became. See, when that was popping out my head, that was escapism. We spoke about it, getting out your head. People see that saying, that's exactly what I was trying to escape for your own head, you know, because then you've not got all that stuff running through your head. And
so we're talking about that, obviously, like in jail, right? Like, you're taught, the boys will take that spice and that, right? And you're looking at, you can look at cocaine, you can look at ecstasy, you can look at drink and go, fuck, that looks good. They look as if they're having a great time. This shit.
No, I've seen it. Man, I've seen fucking videos, and I'm like, because my boy was shooting, and I'm like, what the fuck do you get out of that?
But it's escapism, Andy.
As if they're taking this.
T-Rexing, that's what they used to call it, T-Rexing. That's what they used to call it in jail, and people used to laugh. And it would be like, I used to feel dead. I used to, like, guys try to walk up the stair, couldn't walk, genuinely couldn't walk up the stair. And everybody's all laughing. And it's no the people because we're all in the jail, we're all conditioned as well. And we're all conditioned in a way that it's hard to describe, but you just become that. Every single thing that society sees you as, and everything that society sees as good, like, you have to flip that. Like violence is celebrated, drug taking celebrated, anti-authority behaviours.
But that's like growing up in a scheme as well, Sean. You know, because that's celebrated. I mean, I remember when we were wee guys, the older ones used to phone the police and just have square goes with them. Like, see, in the 80s, it was fucking wild, you know. Maybe 10 police would fire out a van and the older gangs would just fucking fight with them.
Yeah. They had the vans where they used to call them a name, didn't they? I don't know.
But it was like fucking mad. It was, you know, I'd see them and it was just square goes. And I remember one of the big guys saying, couple of years usual be doing that, and I remember thinking, fucking no danger, I'll be doing that. You know what I mean? There's no way, but that was what they'd done.
You look at the way the police, even the police treated, used to come up, pull your drink out, just. But I'm starting to kind of go and look, and I'm changing my views, and I'm starting to go, do you know what? They're conditioned or not. Like they go into a job and they're the same ways, and they go into a job and they go like that. Like they have to be a part of a team, and if they think differently, then.
But sometimes, listen, I remember getting downs off them at 13, 14. You know what I mean? You're thinking,
no, I know
it's fucking. You know, it's like we were programmed. I remember coming up from my girlfriends at 14, 15, and they'll take me around the back of the school and just give me a down just for nothing. You know what I mean?
I know some of them bastards.
But as you say, there's other ones that are good, but when you're part of a gang, ain't you? And you're part of a gang, there's good ones in the gang as well, and there's psychopaths, you know what I mean? I grew up, listen, some of the boys I knew were fucking psychopaths.
I know.
Like they can murder somebody in the home and go to sleep, you know what I mean? There's boys like that, you know, but they're programmed like that as well. You don't know what they've got in their background as well.
And you don't know what trauma.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
There's a lot of boys in the jail that you would never know, but there's a lot of kind of trauma for care law and all these kind of residential schools. I think it was quite hot. I think it was horrible back then. That stuff.
I mean, you read some of this. I mean, that was the thing that done it for me, Sean. I had a policy where I wouldn't read nothing about child abuse, or I couldn't watch programme. I just couldn't do it. I would just turn that off. And there was a front page hanging on the Daily Record one day, and I made myself read it. And it was a lassie. She'd been abused and she took her own life. And she kept a diary. And I read it. I made myself read it. And I read it and I'm like, that's me. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do that. I'm going to. It wasn't what happened to her. It was her feelings. Her you know. And I'm like,
same.
That's me. I says, if I don't, I need to do something about this. And that was the first time I'd ever done it. And that's when I says, right, I need to go and get help for that. You know what I mean? I need to go and by the way, that wasn't easy either. Because I remember
it's a hard thing to.
But I remember going to 2 or 3 doctors and getting diazepam.
I know.
And I'm like, I don't want that. That's not what I need.
I know.
You know, because I know I do with that, what I do with every other drug. I just fucking take him and see the problems I've got. I still going to be there tomorrow. You know, so you're just masking that. You know.
Totally.
But I was probably lucky that I had because I'd been in recovery and stuff, so I knew, you know what I mean. Whereas there must be a million boys and lasses out there that go to doctors and try and get help, and it's not there.
You've got a good. You're like me in a way that I had a great support network. I've got a great partner. I've got a great family. Yeah. I've got good pals. I was really lucky. He came out of prison and have that. And you're probably the same. You had probably a lot of guys for the football, probably a lot of guys that kind of stuck by you. And obviously coming out with something like that, it's hard. It's like, because there's a lot of shame, there's a lot of kind of
embarrassment. And it sounds fucking horrible. Yeah, but I was embarrassed. Like, what will people think of me? You know,
an 8-year-old boy. I know
like, exactly. See if I read anybody else's, I feel... You read that bit of Wayne, you feel pity for the Wayne, but I wouldn't give myself that pity. You know what I mean? I was, you should have done something about it. I was fucking sick. I generally didn't even know what was happening at that time. Of course, I know. You know what I mean? It was, and then the older you go, I should have done this. And fucking didn't know.
No, you fry her in that, didn't you? Because you go like,
that's what I done. I should have done this, and see if that ever happened again, and you know, all the shit, you know. And I'm going to try and find that cunt, and I'm like, you know. And see, the thing was, once I went and get help for that, and it was, I had to learn to forgive myself. because I was a victim. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And that's how it was explained
How did that
to
come
me.
about, Andy? How did
Because as I say, I was fucking taking panic attacks and everything. You know what I mean? And I was like, I'm fucking trying to do everything right here, and I felt as if I was stuck, Sean. If you know what I mean. I wrote my book. No, I think I was in the process of writing my book, and that was bringing up stuff and all that and all. You know what I mean? But the book was probably the best thing that I'd done, because I couldn't write it down, so I got somebody else to, and she just reading it. I could forgive myself, you know, because if I'd read that about somebody else, I'd be like, fucking poor cunt. But I wouldn't afford myself that, you know what I mean? I wouldn't.
So see if you could give like somebody sitting there out in silence that's kind of suffering, and because there's a lot of help now. There is a lot of help now, Andy. What would you say to them? Somebody that's sitting out there in silence, just kind of...
Just find somebody that you trust, and fucking, there is help out there, you know. Got online, you know. See, the thing is, I feel guilty as well, because I had money to go and do it, Sean.
I know.
And see, to be honest, if I didn't have money, I don't know if I'd have been able to access the help I would have been able to access. That's the fucking truth of the matter. And it's horrible that, because the job I had, see if I'd have been Joe the Joiner or whatever, and I failed the drug test, I'd have been fucking out the door to get the sack, and that was it, you know. But because it was unfit, well, they had a kind of duty of care. So they paid for me to get into rehab, and it gave me that start, you know, whereas not everybody does.
No.
And that's a fucking horrible fact of the matter, you know what I mean? That there is help out there, but I've spoke to boys and they've maybe went and says they're suicidal, or we'll get you an appointment in 6 months. You know what I mean? It's like...
No, it's mad. I mean, see the now there's a big... There's a massive street value problem.
Oh man, listen, but I was pissing myself the other day, because there was a thing on 3-4 weeks ago on the news, and it was alcohol deaths have went down because of this average pricing, and then 2 weeks later it was alcohol deaths have went up. You know, so they just see figures. They can just do whatever they want with them. You know what I mean? They can just start to just the drink deaths have went down because. And by the way, it's a lot of shit, because drink deaths are like. See if you're an alcoholic and somebody puts 50 pence on a can of lager, it's not going to stop you.
No,
you're just going to.
You get the 50.
Or what has happened is a lot of the guys have now they're batting Valley, they're batting the Blues.
I know, because
you're getting fucking 100 of them for a tenner or something. You know what I mean? And you can. I know boys that are taking 50 and 100 of them a day. You know what I mean? They get something happen to them, and they go to your hospital, and they can't. They can't.
Well, do you know obviously, I work in that kind of field, and the GPs. I've not got a detox for it.
No, you can't detox it.
So the GPs, I think you can, Andy.
What the days will tell them just to take less of them.
Aye,
that's what they're doing.
But we're getting like mothers coming in, right? That are trying to get their sons off street volume, and they're asking us opinions, and they're going, "What do I do?" Like the doctors told me to go to a drug dealer, buy drugs, and then wean them off it. Now, you're not going to tell me that diazepam and clonazepam, there's loads and loads of different Xanax and all that. There's drugs that could be prescribed.
See, the problem is it's down to that. It's a money thing. See, if you go in there and you're taking 100 blues a day, but you've got £1 million in the bank, there's help there for you.
Aye.
That's the truth of the matter. So that's fucking... Listen, there's a big cycling event here in the city now. They spent 13 million on that. I think, I would argue that would be better put to good use. There's fucking people lying in the streets now.
Every doorway, isn't it? I was saying it, if you're not, I was saying to my partner the other day, walking up Glasgow, and she asked me a question, and all the time she does it anyway, but she asked me a question, and I didn't know what she went, "You're not listening to me, are you?" I went, "No." I says, "I can't believe the amount of people that are in these doorways."
No.
I says, I'm one of the I'll stop and talk to them, and I'll say, "Do you want a fag?" And you want
treat them like human being.
Totally. And
you know what I mean?
you just see it in them. See when you do it, you see that wee glint.
Yeah.
So kind of thing.
It's listen, as I say, I see it, and I'm in the tune every day, and my heart goes out to them, you know. And listen, there must be help. You know, you can't just fucking abandon people. You know,
but you're actually telling people to go and commit a crime. If if a mother was to go and get caught with a street value, she's getting done for it. She's getting done with a street value.
But that's where you're at. And listen, I've spoke to a lot of boys, and that's what they're saying. The doctors are telling them, no, just if you're on 50 a day, cut yourself down and cut yourself down. And
it's so hard to do.
You're not going to do it.
Sitting in a room yourself, trying to come
that's what I'm saying. It's all right saying that. It's easy for a doctor to say, "Oh, just cut down." You're a fucking addict.
It's a huge. I mean? It's called. We go to the drug. It's called Benazolam, and it's like the jails are rife with it, and it's. I've got that. I don't know what it is, but I've got a few pals in there, and I get upset with it when I speak to them, and I feel guilty that I'm outside. Yeah. And Fiona will say to me, "Look, Sean, you can't date. There's nothing you can."
But you did get that, Sean. See, when you first, because you want to help the world.
I know.
You know what I mean? And see, the thing is, you fucking can't, and that's the truth of the matter. You know what I mean? You want to. I used to, when I had the charity back in Glasgow, when I was getting kids off the street, I remember saying to my wife, a couple of wee. Do you think we could adopt them? You know what I mean? I'm like, fucking, you can't help it. You know, it sounds heartless and whatever, but sometimes you've just got to look after yourself, and you being that example, you'll maybe get other people.
Well,
you know what I mean?
You're doing that the new.
And you'll be doing that and all, Sean, you know what I mean? You be that example that you can come through the other side of it, you know what I mean? Life is shite and you have ups and downs, but if you do the right things, you'll go on in life. That's it.
Well, we did we were I was doing a podcast the other day with a guy from Scott for the Miscarriage of Justice organisation, and there was only one report ever done into kind of like, it was like Paddy Hill and
the boy the other day get done with it, get freed on it. The boy was in for 17 years for rape. Did you see that one?
No.
Manchester.
I did.
He got up 8 years ago, but he wouldn't admit to it, and he done 17 years. And by the way, did you see they're charging him for room and board?
I know. We were actually talking about that because obviously that Barry George and all was another one. Like when we were talking about him, they said he wasn't innocent enough to get compensation. But I mean, these guys on the after compensation. No, it's like,
what does compensation going to give if it's fucking for 17 years? Fucking.
I've obviously experienced it, and it's something I'll talk about at some other time. It's for another time, but it's totally traumatizing for so many people. It's and it's, I've got to say, it's secondary to the boy getting killed. The boy dying is the first big thing, but that's the boy didn't deserve to die. No. The miscarriage of justice comes second, but the feelings the trauma that caused me over the years, the hatred that builds up, the poison and stuff, and the way. And I'm trying to be an example, the same as you. I'm trying to show that there is light and you can do it, because the study they done into the miscarriage of justice victims, and they basically said they're right-offs. You can't help them. And I'm like, I don't think that. I think you can. I think you can help. Do you know what I mean?
Listen, I don't think there's any hopeless cases in life. I've seen enough boys.
I agree with that.
You've thought, fuck me, he's fucked. And then you see him a year later and you're like, fuck, you know, I thought you would go and be dead in a week. You know, so I don't think, listen, some are harder than others, but there's nobody.
No, there isn't.
I would never say to anyone, listen, you're never going to, because like I say, if I could, I thought I was a hopeless case. You know, and see when you're in that hole, you think, I'm never going to be able to get better. I'm never going to get a handle on this. You either do or you don't. Fucking, you either die or you go on with living, you know what I mean? And I had a lot to live for, and that's what kind of pushed me, you know what I mean?
So many boys don't, but then, you know.
No, because they're pushed down, and it just becomes too hard for them, you know what I mean? And they just think, fuck it. We've all done that. We've all got to stay, fuck it. You know, that was one of my fucking favourite sayings for, you know, and you think, you end up getting to think it'd be better if I wasn't here, you know, and see when you get to that stage, that's when you're fucking, you know, but as I say, I would never...
When I first got out of jail, I used to say to Fiona, I'm a burden on you, and
Fucking.
It's horrible. It's looking back, and I'm a burden, and she used to greet and all that. My mum would greet, and I say, I'm just costing you money, and they're like, what are you talking about? Like, and I'm just like,
because we monetize everything, don't we? It's like we think, oh, it's fucking money's.
I know. It's,
as I say, I used to think money made me happy. Money would make me happy when I was a wee guy. You know what I mean? And kind of spent a lot of my life trying to chase it. See, now I fucking drive a taxi and I pay my bills and we go a couple of holidays a year. That's
happy to have been. I know.
That's, you know, that's came
contentment, isn't it? See, when you're content, it's just.
See, getting home at night and having your dinner and just lying on the couch and your missus is there, and we had a holiday a couple of weeks ago, man, and it was brilliant. Just we went to Kos and we never had one bad word for a week, you know, just chilled. It was a holiday 20 years ago. It would never appeal to me. We done fuck all. We lay about and read books, and it was magic. You know what I mean? It was, and as I say, that's a big psychic change for me. You know what I mean? It's like just being able to go and being your own head, being your own company. You know what I mean? It's
so see, like, you're obviously at this stage now, Andy, right? And you're happy. And it's the best you've been in. Like, how you helping others now? Because obviously I know you do a lot of work with other things. How you doing that?
I did. I don't. I got me a place, Main Martin up in Drumchat once. I kind of. It says what it is. What it says. It's a club for guys, and guys in all different stages of life. Guys with addiction problems, guys with mental health problems. You know, and I got there. See, to be honest, I got there more for myself. I got maybe a couple of times a month. Just it's a wee couple of groups and
ground you.
Aye, you know, because you think, listen, we sometimes think I've get down on myself or whatever, and you go there and you think, fuck me, I've got a great life, you know what I mean? And if somebody gets, listen, I'm trying to help a wee boy now, and wee boy I knew years ago, and he got back in touch with me a couple of weeks ago, and I hadn't seen him for 8 years, and I got a shock when I seen him. I'm not going to lie, because he'd changed a bit in 8 years, and he'd fucking give himself a bit of doing, if I'm being honest, you know what I mean? So, if I can help somebody, I'll get my way to do it. Because
obviously that's how I met you. Like, obviously when you...
Well, because I went up with... I was working in Chris's house, and listen, I'd been up with jails and I'd been up and visited people, and I felt sorry. That's probably not the right... People only want that, you know what I mean? But I just thought, listen, give somebody... See for an hour or two, you know what I mean? It's a different voice, it's... You know what I mean? And I know what I'm talking about, you know what I mean? I was anxious when I first went up.
Well, do you know what? See when obviously I wouldn't have went. I did. I've had suicidal thoughts, but I've never been close to being Andy, right? But when I heard you were going, well, that's what attracted me. But what I couldn't understand, and this is how sad it is, you're a big character, and obviously I brought few people down, right? But even at that, it was only a few. Yeah. And I'm going, why does somebody know what he can do? And he's played for Scotland. He's like, you know, his good stories, this and that. And the sad fact is every cunt's fucked. Aye. They're all sitting in mad with it. They're not interested. No. You could bring Zidane in when they go down. Well,
that's the thing. I always thought, if I could, I say this all the time, see, everywhere I go, I always think, if I can help one person, well, you're sitting across from me now.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? And there was other ones. I remember when I first came in, and there was a boy getting released the next day, and he'd nowhere to go, but they weren't giving a fuck. They just, listen, we spoke about it, Sean. The prison system's are fucking one of the biggest businesses in Britain. I know. You know what I mean? So it doesn't suit them to rehabilitate people. You know what I mean? They want it to have it. Listen, people are making fucking big money with it. You know what I mean? So it doesn't suit them to rehabilitate. They'll maybe want one or two so they can hold them up and it looks good for them, and they've done this and look at this.
No, you're right.
But the vast majority of them go in and they'll be fucking back in a couple of months. You'd have seen it, you know, and I seen it just a short time I was coming up, and like I say, I was going up there. As I say, the first time I was a wee bit, I was like, these cunts think I'm fucking at it or whatever, you know what I mean? But I know what I'm talking about, you know what I mean? I'm not in there fucking lying. I get in there and tell my story and be honest. And that's all. That's all you can
you've
do.
probably been lucky that you've not got to jail Andy a couple of times, you know what I mean? So you're no like, there's plenty of boys out there that know what they're talking about. But I think the difference was, I think you helped a few boys, by the way. I think you got through a few boys, and it's commendable in the jail because they're probably the most disenfranchised people. Prisoners, nobody's interested, right? And I get it. I'm not like saying I totally get why people would say don't put money into why do they do it. I get it, but then you can't moan when they come out fucked up. You can't moan when they go and reoffend again because you've done nothing to help. Do you know what I mean?
And I've seen boys get in there and coming out. Boys that fucking get in, good boys, never took fucking. They've took drugs, but no, the fucking drugs end up on them. You know, they come out with a right fucking stinking habit, you know what I mean? And just, they couldn't handle once that door shut, you know what I mean? It's everybody's a big tough guy into that fucking cell door shuts on them, you know what I mean? And I'd mates that went in and I would have swore blind that when they went in, they'll be all right. And there was ones that I swore he'll be fucked, and so there was no rhyme or reason either. You know what I mean? It was some boys. I know somebody was really close to me and it went in and I says, how'd you get he was, listen, he'd done 9 months or something, but he was like that. He says, I went in there, he says, my first night, he says, I'm either going to get right in about this. He says, or I'm going to turn my life around. And he says, I sat all that night. He says, and I got out of the cell next morning, every cunt's trying to give me fucking ears. He's like, no. He says, and cunts like, what do you mean? He's like, I'll get you through the day and all that. He's like, no, listen, I'm doing this fucking. And he says, I've done it with. He says, cunts used to be like, how the fuck can you do that? He says, I did. But he was obviously mentally strong enough to do that. Whereas some people, they're not in a good place and fucking, you take that and you'll remember the next 8 hours, you know what I mean? That's what people are doing in there. They're just trying to get through that day and fucking whatever, you know what I mean? And
I always said, see, like when people are outside, cocaine, ecstasy, drugs like that, you want to enhance your experience. See, when you're in prison, you want to decrease it. So your drug of choice changes. It changes to like heroin.
You want oblivion, don't you?
Opiates,
you don't want fucking. You don't want to be sitting there looking about and try to talk to people. You want fucking. Listen, I can get that. You know, I get that. But as I say, that was one of the reasons I want, because as I say, I always say, if I go and do a talk, if I can get through to one person, I know it's cliched and whatever, but that person helped me, that daily record, that article, you know, so it's always been, I don't do it for my ego or whatever, you know what I mean? It's not about fucking me, you know, and that's what people say about, you're a fit up. I'm just a boy for a scheme, you know what I mean? Because I had that job, you know, but I've never changed, you know what I mean? I'm still that wee guy for fucking Castlemilk, you know what I mean? Like, I can still go up with Castlemilk, still get the same pals, you know, and nobody will ever say that he thinks he's better, you know, because I'm not that type of person. I've never, listen, I think at the start,
you're a diamond there, guy.
I think at the start of the football career, but it does get you that, because you're told you're brilliant and your head goes a wee bit, you know what I mean? Because, listen, my wife, she said to me, I was an arsehole sometimes, because you're told that everybody fucking pussyfoots about you, you know what I mean? So Claire always says there was two of me. She called me Andrew, that's my son, and it was Andy Boy, you know what I mean? Andy Boy's an arsehole that she doesn't like, and Andrew's the good guy, you know what I mean? So, so that was, because I used to always say, why the fuck did you stay with me? She says, because Andrews was a good guy. She says, I fucking hated Andy Boy, but she says, but she had to go and, the person I went and seen, Claire went in sessions with her as well, you know, because it's not just me. I'd affected everybody.
I know. It's a ripple effect.
I would have disagreed with that at the time, you know. I love my Waynes and I love my wife and I'd fucking do anything for him, but I wouldn't fucking put down cocaine or I wouldn't put down alcohol for them, you know what I mean? So
no, it becomes your best pal, and it's your best pal, but it's also your worst enemy. People don't understand how. And obviously cocaine addiction's a kind of mental thing where it takes your kind of mental and it's the thoughts and the negativity and the fear. So when that enhances You're just wanting to get rid of it.
I used to take loads of cocaine and sit and do crosswords. Fucking insane. 300-400 quid to sit and do a crossword. But I'd sit myself. I didn't. Like, when I first started taking it, it was you were out partying, you were fucking in nightclubs and fucking. See, towards the end, it wasn't it?
No.
People have got this perception of cocaine, it's a glamour, it's fucking. By the way, it's just as bad as fucking heroin or any other, you know what I mean? People have got.
And it's so common now.
Oh, mate, it's an epidemic out here. I'm going to be honest.
People don't understand how.
Fucking, listen, I detox in schools, right? I was doing a village in Ayrshire a couple of months ago, and I always talk to the teacher, do you want me to go fucking speak about this? Do you want me to go hard? And it says, what about cocaine? Oh, can you go really, really hard on that? We've got a real problem down here. Now, this is a fucking...
Is that in high school?
A village in Ayrshire. And I've ended up brought a wee boy out and I was talking, I mean, he was mad, you know what I mean? And so that's... You think it's a city thing, you think it's a nightclub thing and all that. It's fucking... Anyway, you go into building sites now, there's fucking first thing in the morning. It's everywhere, you know what I mean? Any fucking houses of parliament.
Glasgow's the epicentre of the cocaine epidemic. It's... I think I might be wrong, but I'm sure it's like the cocaine capital of consumption.
Because it was... But... It's mental because people in Glasgow will be proud of this. It was like, I think the average in England, it's like 0.8 a gram or something people take, and in Glasgow it's like 1.8. I remember boys going like, me fucking 1.8. Who the fuck, you know what I mean? It's like, we take much more than that. And, you know, it's crazy because people have, we take more gear than anybody, you know, and they don't see the... Listen, you do see the problems there, you know, fucking people sleeping in fucking doorways and fuck knows what, and families getting ripped apart with it.
Cracks coming, and it's changing. It's like,
well, because heroin, it's snowballing in it. They're doing smack and fucking crack together, you know what I mean? And as I say, it's wild.
I think the drug deaths will go up this year. They went down the last year, but I think they're going to go up. I think with the
CRA figures, you're not really getting it.
You don't?
The real
don't they play about with them?
It's just, we spoke about it 2 weeks ago, the alcohol deaths are down and then they're up. And they just lie to you.
Do you know, it shouldn't, it's the whole system, there shouldn't be stats. Why work on something? Because you're putting pressure on the people. Yeah. See the workers that are getting their balls booted for the drugs, the drug deaths no coming down. Yeah. They're going to go, I need to play about with this.
That's what you do, you lie. Listen, I was involved in charities and I see it, but because they do it for funding. You know, they'll maybe... They'll say they'll fanny up their attendances. Aye. Because... It might affect their funding if they don't, you know, and people are, especially nowadays, people are all chasing funding, aren't they, you know what I mean? And listen, if you've got to put down a wee couple of lies to keep your funding coming in, that's what people are going to do, you know what I mean? Or I speak to people, I've heard people on Twitter, I've saved 20,000 lives, and I'm like, fucking, you know what I mean? But people are just...
I know.
You know, like,
I know.
You've got so many people out there, and some of them are fucking quite dangerous as well, you know what I mean? Like fucking life coaches and tell them, I would never give anybody advice, Sean. No. I don't give, I tell people what I've done, what I've been through, and what I do now. I wouldn't say, oh, by the way, see if you do that, you'll be all right.
Aye.
Obviously, if somebody's drink too much, I'll tell them, stop drinking, you know, but don't fucking... Like me I go for walks, I play golf, I fucking spend time with my family. Maybe say that to somebody and they say, I've not got any family. You know what I mean? It's
that bad. It is.
You've got to be very careful what you're saying to people. You know, if somebody comes to me and they're fuck with drink, I say, cut down your drinking, stop drinking. I says, and your life will get better. That's as basic as advice I'm going to give you. I'm not going to get into depth and say, if you do this and do that, and I promise you your life will be better, because I don't know. I don't know if their life's going to be better. That's the fucking truth of the matter, you know what I mean? I know what worked for me, but what worked for me, Sean, might not work for you.
No, you're right.
You know what I mean?
There's a lot of people out there kind of preaching, it's got to be this way, it's got to be... No, there's no one size fits all.
Just talk. I remember speaking to people and feeling worse. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So It's no about just talking. It's about talking to the right people at the right time and talking about the right things. You know what I mean? Because I remember going to a doctor's and coming out and feeling 10 times worse when I went in.
Aye.
You know what I mean? So just talking, wasn't he?
No, I know.
Wasn't he going to fucking... Because I remember thinking... Because you were getting all this, just if you talk, you'll be okay. And I remember talking...
Doctors are going like that to you, what you talking about.
I feel fucking worse here, you know, because you've got to talk to the right people. You've got to talk to people that are qualified to shut you back down and things like that, you know what I mean? So it's not just... And there's so many of the messages out that can annoy me. Guys that have not got a fucking... My DMs are always open. I would never do that either. Because what happens if you get 200 guys fucking texting you that night?
I know.
And they want you to... Oh, can you come and see me? Listen, I've got a life away from what I do as well, you know, and it can overwhelm you sometimes, you know, if you're... Listen, I'll go out my way to help somebody, but sometimes I need to help myself first before I can fucking, you know...
You need to be in charge of your own life before you can help anybody.
Yeah.
You do, and I'm certainly a work in progress. I'm nowhere near where I want to be in life. I've got a lot of stuff that I try and do, and a lot of stuff that I'm trying not to do, and like painkillers. I've got two bulging discs in my back, so I take painkillers. I don't like taking them, but I need. If I don't take them, then my back's sore. And
but I've seen people going, "Oh, it's just don't take medication," and all that. And you're like, "Fucking
stop everything." And
you can't just tell people just to do that. You know what I mean? Like, if you just stop that, fucking no, you can't tell people that.
And you're like people. You want to tell a cancer patient stop taking it. Do you know what I mean? So
if you're on medication for your mental health, I just stop taking that. You're fucking taking it for a reason. See if it's working for you. Fucking use it. You know what I mean? But listen, sometimes people will use that as a crutch as well. You know, if you're doing it for the right to get you through certain stages, you know. But let's be honest, doctors not want to keep you on shit.
No, they're there for a good
companies
reason.
Are fucking.
No, they're there for a good reason. Andy, like painkillers, I've got a good, but they're so addictive, and they're dangerous when you start going down that road. But there's loads of different people with different messages and stuff like that, and I mean it's
finding out it's basically finding what works for you. You know what I mean? Because I've seen guys and I wouldn't want their recovery.
No, I know.
You know, I wouldn't. You know, they're judgmental or whatever. Like, see if it's working for you, fucking batter in. See whatever's working. See if you're happy in yourself and you batter in. You know what I mean? That's what I say to people. You know what I mean? It's just some people think, oh, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. Right? Listen, see if you find what works for you. And there was a lot of trial and error with me as well, Sean. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'd speak to people and feel worse or whatever, you know. And for me, it was about finding the right person to speak to. And see the minute I met that person, I knew.
Aye.
I listen, I could shut I opened the door and it was a woman, Angela, and she was standing in front of me, and I knew I'm going to be all right.
Aye.
It was kind of spooky, you know what I mean? Like, I can shut my eyes and I opened the door and she cuddled me. And I thought,
I'm going to be all right here.
Aye. I knew. I remember I had a session and it was me being me. I spoke for 2.5 hours at my first ever session. But in my head, I'm thinking she's keeping me talking because it's 50 quid an hour. That's what it was. So I've still got that wee bit of... That's what these cunts do, then they get you in and they talk. So I'm trying to get 150 quid at the end of the session. She's like, no, it's only 50 quid. And I'm like, all right, so you're all right then, you know what I mean?
Changed our
aye. But during that session, listen, as I say, within 2 seconds of meeting her, I had stuff that I was never telling anybody. Within 5 minutes, fucking, it was like somebody turned a tap on. Was it
just like pure?
I was ready
pressure?
And it was just time. You know what I mean? And it was like, honestly, see, after it, I remember getting home fucking sleeping to the next day. I was fucked, you know what I mean?
Aye.
And I remember phoning people and going, I've got to answer. And, like, you're buzzing, you know what I mean? And people saying, listen, just fucking calm down, you know what I mean? You're fucking, because I was like fucking, it was like fucking, it was like being high again, you know what I mean? It was like being, but as I say, and then you crash and you learn, you learn how to live, didn't you? That's, for me, it was learning how to be a husband again. It was learning how to be a dad. And as I say, I I used to beat myself up about that because my dad died like a couple of months before my boy was born, and I didn't have a fucking clue how to bid her. You know, I was 17. I was away most of the week. You know what I mean? I would come home on a Saturday, and I'd take him out on a Sunday, and I used to just buy him things because I thought that was me being a good dad. You know what I mean? And
that's what a lot of people do.
My wife would be going off on that. She'd be laughing for the rest of the week. You know what I mean? And I'd take him and it doesn't. I want that. I right, no bother. Just fucking. And I thought. But I was doing that and then thinking, right, that's 2-3 years I've been with him. I can get him home now and I can go to the pub with the boys, you know what I mean? And I didn't know how to be a dad. I didn't know, loads of things I didn't. But
it's just relearning life, isn't it?
Well, because they didn't tell me, you know what I mean? And like my mum was bringing up 3 other ways, you know. I was 16 and thought I was a man of the house and a fucking wee boy, you know what I mean?
That's just because your dad's passed, but obviously I think you need to kind of take that kind of role, you know what I mean?
But listen, I didn't. I'd like to sit here and say I was perfect, but I wasn't. I was fucking, I probably gave my mum more than the rest of them, you know what I mean? But I had good people around about me always, you know what I mean?
That's the key. That's the key, having good people around about you and having the people that are going to be honest with you, having the people that are going to tell you when you're being Andy boy, having the people that, do you know what I mean? That's the key to getting that content and even just that bit of joy back in your life and that just being content.
And that was a big one for me. Like I'm maybe a year or two sober, and they used to speak in the air about spiritual awakenings, and I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about? I don't, you know, it's like spiritual stuff, and I'm like, I don't know what they are. And we went on holiday, me, Claire, and the 2 boys, and we were in Florida, and I'll never forget it. The wee one was sitting on my knee and the other one was sitting there and we were at SeaWorld, and it was just this mad, it was like nothing I've ever experienced. It was just happiness. Like I was looking at my 2 veins and I felt part of it. That was the first time I'd like
connected.
Really, really, you know, and I was like, whoa, and I started greeting and I was like, Claire, right, I'll be back. I need to, because you start getting embarrassed, you know what I mean? And I went and I phoned back home and I'm like, I says, I'm fucking off my nut here. I says, I'm greeting, and he went, see the spiritual awakening you talk about? That's what you just had. And I'm like, he says, it's no fucking God coming down.
No,
he says, it's just
it's a higher power, isn't it?
It's a higher power. He says, that was amazing. You know what I mean? That was the first time, and probably in my life that I'd felt really part of, you know what I mean? Because it'd always just been,
it's connection. It's that connection with the
you weren't able to. I wasn't able to connect because of that much shit in my head. You know what I mean? So, and that was the first time I'd really felt released and free, and just it was an amazing feeling. And I remember thinking, listen, if that's as good as it gets for me that'll do. You know what I mean? But listen. As I say, life still happens, Sean. It's still shite. Families fucking people get sick and people get no well and fucking things like that. But I can deal with things now. I don't need to run away and get drunk, and I don't need to go and hide. And as I say, I'm the one that fucking people phone now. I'm the reliable one, you know. As I say, 20 years ago,
never seen that.
I would have says aye. Like if you asked me to do something, I'd have says aye. But it was a 50-50 chance whether I was going to be there the next day or I was going to actually turn up, but I was going to, you know, whereas now I'm reliable. You know, if I say I'm going to be somewhere, I'll be there, you know, unless
something drastic happens.
But as I say, life's good today.
So see, like, obviously just coming to an end now, Andy, right? Obviously the podcast coming to an end, so I know you do a wee bit of the Chris Boyd kind of charity and stuff like that now, so where do you see yourself going now? Where do you see it just...
See, to be honest, I'm quite happy. Listen, Sean, see, to be honest, I think I could set something up and it would go massive.
I think you could.
But see, the thing, I don't know if I want to. Like, because it'd be... I'm all in something.
It's a lot of work.
I'm all in, you know what I mean? And I'm like, me and my wife have got a good wee life today, and you know what I mean? And I'm thinking I could set something up, and listen, because of who I know and everybody, I know you could, and the amount of people I know, and I think I could do something. But I've been kind of swearing the past couple of months, thinking, do I fucking want to really go for this? Because the problem is I'm all in, you know what I mean? And then
I think you should.
And then my wife would listen. We've got
maybe Claire's going to batter me for saying that, but
no, but it's just you think I've turned 50 now. I'm in a good place in my life. You know what I mean? If you do that again, then you're because it's fucking hard work. Sure.
I know. He's even setting this up, setting this, and this is all to try and for positive change. And it's a podcast that I want to try and make a difference. I know it's about crime and stuff, but it's to try and show a different side of it. There's no glamorising it. It's none of that stuff. I don't want any of that stuff. So it's to show that kind of side, and it's to try and get people to kind of open up to a different view. And it's been hard for me, like trying to just put in, and I know you'd be able to set something up a lot bigger than what I'm doing, but it is a lot of work, and I've felt it with Fiona. Even just do you know what I used to love? I used to love. Well, we still do it, but we'd have a box set and see. I don't know if it's just for the jail because I was felt safe when I used to get dubbed up and I'd sit and watch my box sets. But I used to go like, if you want, you got to get the wind doing and all that now, and she'd be like, right off. And then it'd be like the 9:30, I'd be away doing what's happening? See, because I was wanting to come up. And I don't know if that was just my wee safe thing. But I used to love sitting watching that with her. And obviously, it's mad, like it's just mad how that follows on. But me personally, I think you should have a good think about it. Obviously,
I know, but as I say, I still do. Listen, I still
you do enough.
keep myself. But as I say, I know a lot of boys, and I've been thinking about it the past couple of months, and then I'm like, do I really want to? Because it's peace of mind as well. You know, I'm in a good place. You know, and then if you start.
I know.
And you're dealing with other people as well, and people can fucking arsehole sometimes.
No,
you know what I mean? It's like, because you'll meet people and they're great, and then you're working with somebody a lot of times, and then people change. And as I say, it's something that I've been tossing about, you know. But as I say, I like my life now, Sean. You know what I mean? And you think, do I really want to?
David's best for you, Andy. That's all you can do.
Yeah. As I say, life's good today, and I'm happy. I'm happier than I've ever been. You know, I've got peace of mind. I can sit and mind heated, and that's all I've ever wanted in life. You know what I mean? I've chased everything and chased all these things, and see there I can look in the mirror.
But listen, Andy, I'm going to need to bring this to a halt. But it's been absolutely, honestly, amazing to have you.
Cheers,
and just always good to see you.
Brilliant.
So it is an honour to call you a pal as well.
Brilliant, Sean. Thanks for having me, pal.
No bother.